We're up, we're live.
Hello,
Sam. Where do we start today? I was thinking about how to introduce you, and I was like, do I talk about watching you support mum in an arrow break? Do I talk about watching you help people fire walk? Do I talk about the elements retreat, which is one of the life-changing events in my life, and the release and all of that? Do I talk about how you do human design and everyone can't wait for you to come to the expansion workshop? And I thought, I'm just going to say it all like that so that people get a whistle-stop tour of, oh, wow, arrow breaking, fire walking, elements retreat, healing type space, magic, and what a superhuman you are. And I'll just tag on to the end of that, taking my children away from me on the Sunday of the gathering so I could have 10 freaking minutes to have a conversation after the Dawnstalkers gathering, which was like mind-blowing and exhausting, and I was barely human on Sunday, and you were just like, no, come on. And I took them to the beach. So it's like on every level, you've come into my life and just gone, and now we're on a podcast together.
Yay! I've got to share because I'm not the greatest fan of public speaking and putting myself out there and everything. So I just want a presence that I get sweaty palms and all of the things until I get in my joy. And you mentioning all those things that put me in my joy in life, all of a sudden I go like this. Oh, okay. Oh yeah, we just having
we're in. We're just going to chat about that, and we are literally. And it's like watching you do the fire at the gathering. It was just like talk about being in joy of just focus, peace, calm, clarity. Like you just own the space, magic. So if anyone ever wants to see an example of that, that's that. And then to walk into that clearing, to then do something like a fire walk, it's like double power. And I'm sure there's a whole world of, you've just come back from Ireland doing firewalk masters. You just told me before we came live, you've done 19 fires in 5 days and walked over 17 of them. I'm like, how are your feet? And you're like, they're fine. Just to be that clearing for people to go through something as momentous as a firewalk. And I think that's the other thing to say is this isn't a bravado, like, yay, I walked over fire, is it? This is like, what would you say about walking? Let's start. What would you say about what walking over a fire is for people?
Oh, do you know what? I think it's the massive opportunity to face fears. So often in life we get in our heads and we just make up stories in our own heads about things that are insurmountable. Then it's just like a fear kicks in and we build and build. So firewalking gives you the opportunity to just be present with yourself and to go, oh, let's face a couple of these fears and these stories that I tell myself and see what I actually can do. And then when you've walked over hot coals, you can pretty much do anything in life. It's just remembering all the things come back to you. People walk over, and it takes bravery. It takes the courage. But most of all, it takes I think it's the will and the calling to make a shift and to just make a change in your current life. And I think that's really powerful for people. So it's not about I've just walked over fire. It's more about that internal kind of shifting that takes place. And it's it's getting in touch with yourself, in touch with the elements more than anything as well.
Yeah, brilliant. I've yet to experience a firewalk with you because I've been present at 2 of your firewalks and have done so much up to the point where the firewalk was, I'm like, I've nothing left, because so that people know Sam's events do lots of other things. So the whole world of everything that was going on. So it's it's going to be a fun one when I get there. I've done firewalks 4 years ago at Tony Robbins UPW, but very different. Like that is it's very intentional, but just the sheer numbers of, I think 5 or 10,000 people going over loads of fires. So it was very powerful. Did it twice. Very different space, experiencing like being around your fires, and there's a peace and a gravity to it that's different to the way that Tony Robbins does it.
And I think it's different. So everybody that works with the elements and works with fire, I've got a lot of respect for. And we're all going to bring something different.
Yeah.
So the way in which I'll set things up is going to be different to the people that I've experienced firewalks from. So I like for me, what puts me in my joy is watching people's faces before the fire and then seeing them as they accomplish something really, really that they thought they couldn't, and then watching them turn around and seeing it feels like there's layers and layers of stuff that's lifted off them. And it's like, oh, okay, it's transformational. I don't do anything. I do the space. The fire does the work, and the people do the work, which is really important. It's a non-ego event. It really is just laying the coals out and saying, right, who's ready? And people hear the call or they don't. Their bodies either say, hell yes, I'm in, or if they're wavering and they go, I'm not sure. It's not their time. So it's it is
a big
one of my favorite things to do with people.
I'm looking out on my lawn going, I wonder if we can get a firewalk here at some
point. Yes, we can. I've assessed the situation and it's a definite yes.
Yes. Come on. So I want to do a little bit of like, who is Sam and your background? And I want to talk about human design on this podcast because I'm aware, I reckon you and I could sit here for like 10 hours and kind of scratch the surface of lots of things. And there's so many ways we could go. So I'm going to keep myself focused because this isn't a 3-hour podcast like I'm used to. And Sarah Thompson's like, you need to do an hour about the day. And I'm like, okay, she's right. Because it's useful so that people understand, like they can listen to this and go, oh, who is Sam? And do I want to come along and experience what we do here and what we do together and all of that world? And so I think what's useful for people is, do you want to share a little bit about your background and what you did for work as a career before you started helping people walk over fires? Because I think one of the things I'll share into the space that I found really interesting being around you and working in your world is that I feel like you're a bridge, and I felt like Elements Retreat was a bridge between the kind of stuff that people might call woo-woo, and even firewalks they're becoming more normalized, but they're kind of on the edge of like personal development. People don't instantly think firewalk or sweat lodge or yoga retreat, kind of maybe a bit more mainstream now. And so what's lovely about you is your background and your work and what you've done and where you take people and how grounded and normal it feels. So like the Elements Retreats like this, if you're kind of like, what is this world? I want to kind of try some different stuff because the medication from the GP isn't working, or my life isn't working, or the stuff I've done thus far isn't working, and I feel like and I'm ready to try something else. And you managed to bring this practical, stoic, down to earthness to it all, which is what I love. I can go both. I can go either way. I'm all in everywhere. And you do this, like watching you at the Elements Retreat, like being the orchestra conductor is how it felt, and being like solid and so where does that come from? Like, who is Sam before being firewalking and arrow breaking and
do you know what
designing?
That's an interesting one. I love the way that you see me through your lens, because I've got a presence that I'm only able to be as you would say, a conductor or just somebody that's able to weave the magic because of my team. I have an invisible team behind me that is so strong and so solid that I'm able to then be able to go, oh, this is what we're bringing. Because so many people are lone wolves in life. They try to do everything themselves. Yeah. And that's a clear message for me that I got a long time ago was, no, the more that you share and the more that you bring other people in, everybody then kind of rises and says, right, we've all got a part to play. And that's what makes the energy of an event different to somebody just standing up and like a guru. That's not my aim whatsoever. It's just all about that collaboration side of life.
Yeah.
My working history is I've been a social worker for many decades. It's a passion of mine, or it was a passion of mine, to work in the industry and to make changes with families and children. yeah, it was really, really, I'm a systemic family therapist who loves to work with groups. So whether that's a family group or whether that's a family system, it just, or business or in the world of community, I love bringing people together, identifying their skills, their superpowers, and then holding their hands with the things that they need to learn, and how we all weave and learn off each other. That's what makes me tick, I suppose. So decades and decades of working from child protection to working within the court system. Yeah, I serve my time, I feel.
That's a really applicable sentence, because for anyone who doesn't know a social worker or who hasn't heard what it's like, that is it's a big role that, with a lot, like, it takes a lot to do it for as long as you did, I would say, having heard what I've heard from people I've met who are social workers.
Do you know what you don't hear though with social work is the joy and the reward. So the tiny little changes that families can make, and when you reunite families, and when when you see the pieces of work all falling into place, that's the reward. And it's massive rewards that you rarely hear about. It's also comes at a cost, comes as an energetic cost and an emotional cost and a physical cost sometimes. So when it's weighing up the balances.
How did you manage to do it for so long without the costs being too great that you burnt out and left?
I think
was your thing. If anyone's a social worker and listening to this and's like, I love it, but it's hard. I love it, but it's hard. It's like, what would you say to people?
I walk two worlds. So the holistic side of my life and the path that I walk in that aspect kept me balanced enough to be able to continue doing my work. It was almost like I got filled up. My cup got filled up through the therapies and through the people that I was working with in a holistic manner along the way. I don't think I could have got through the years of work without that balance. And I think, to go back to what you said about being a bridge, it was really important to me that to actually bring the clinical world and to bring that social work world and also the woo-woo world.
Holistic is probably a better word, right?
No, woo-woo, call it as it is. Some people who have never ever experienced anything in that world would go, whoa, what's all this, and I can appreciate it's massively overwhelming. So what I wanted to do was enable people to step in and hold their hand and to go, look, just have a peek in, just have a peek. You don't have to do anything. You just have to just come in and feel the energy and just feel what could be. And I think that is the perfect bridge to things, to enable people without pressure to explore what their judgments were previously, or what their fears were, or what their comfort zone more than anything. We all sit in our comfort zones a lot, and it's hard to step out, isn't it?
And I think we're unintentionally, as a society in the West, we've gone down this medicalized route and forgotten, without getting down rabbit holes of why and how and all of that. But for me, it's like we've forgotten that our bodies know what to do, and that, all of these ancient, whether it be singing and voice, or whether it be massage, or whether it be yoga or breath work, or, sweat lodges or fire water, like all of those things, they're actually the original wisdoms. And yet we've kind of, how it lands for me is we've sort of forgotten, and then it becomes scary because it's kind of feels new. But actually, like, those things have come through time and are still here. So there's also that, I don't know, I think because of where I've come from with my mum and being, a reflexologist and a coach, and kind of being in that, it's kind of similar to you in the sense of being in the NHS and being a nurse, but actually being a reflexologist and understanding that world. And we haven't managed yet to find a way to have both. I think it's coming. Summer camp was amazing that I've just been to, and there was a lady who's doing singing with new mums I didn't know the highest death rate for new mums is actually suicide, biggest killer of new mums in this country is suicide. Like, who knew? I didn't. I was like, wow, that's crazy.
Yeah.
And she's now doing singing groups and expanding it out, and has had a research showing why it works. So there's a piece of paper that says, look, scientifically proven, which is then going back into the NHS, which means it gets integrated and changed, rather than being, you know, like the stuff's over there and the NHS is over there. And it's so the more of us that can bridge. And actually what I took away from her was that she was saying, get someone to do the research on what you're doing that you know that works. Because then it has this, I was just like, brilliant. When did you come into the holistic woo-woo world? What was it that got you in? Like, how long has it been in your world?
Since I was a big traveler when I was younger. I absolutely adored going and exploring different cultures and different spaces and places. So there was a moment when I was over in Asia, and I fell off a motorbike. It wasn't a bad fall. It was just a stupid, you didn't put your foot down fall. And I was picked up by this beautiful woman that just felt magical. She just arrived, and she had all wafty stuff on, and it was just like, oh, who are you? You know, I looked pretty feral at the time. And she literally picked me up and took me into her house to just make sure that I was okay and served me tea. We got talking, and she was a Reiki master at the time. And I think this is an entry level that lots of people hear about. So they hear about Reiki and they're familiar with this. It's now in the world a little bit, and it's just like, oh, okay. Yeah. So she was a Reiki master. And long story short, she then started to train me. So that was my first entry. And I think I was being about 18, 19 at the time. And then it was just, that was the connection to my own energy. And also the wonder of what it's like to connect to universal energy. It's mind-blowing. This absolutely was my first step into the world of energy work. And I think that shaped me. It was instrumental because I was able to work on myself then in a physical way. So to be able to Reiki yourself, it wasn't all about others at the time. It was more about kind of, oh, let's play with the energy on my own. And then that just expanded into working with other people. But of course, that's not something that you can mix with social work. It's not, you know, it's just like, it's worlds apart, and they never come together.
My mum mentioned reflexology in the early days when she was working as a nurse. Like, that's not like, no, don't do that. So yeah, totally relate. So how did you, so you used then the Reiki like to fill up, as you said earlier, and then did the social work?
Absolutely. So it was all part of my self-care practice. And I think that's what's missing with a lot of people, is that we people of service as well. There's lots of people of service out there that will absolutely give everything they've got to others. And that's beautiful. However, it's about giving to others once your cup is full. And that's really a tricky balance, because we often forget about ourselves. So to be able to just fill ourselves up, or to have people that we gravitate to that can help kind of keep you balanced and keep you full, then that enables you to just spill out and absolutely help so many more people. So it starts with the self-care. And I found that at an early age. Not saying that I was then awesome at that, because we all forget, don't we? And what you said about earlier with about things coming in, I think they're the rememberings. I think they're all in our bodies from our ancestors. But it's just for us to remember and to ask our bodies what we're supposed to be remembering, rather than just ploughing on and being part of the workforce and, you know, the way this world currently works.
Yeah, it reminds me of something that Tommy said to me. Shout out to Tommy Woodfin, breathwork magician. Awesome. He was talking to me about this stuff, because in the whole world of, you know, we've all got to do the work, right? And he was talking about go to my yoga mat and just lie on the floor and ask my body what it needs and just trust that my body knows. And he said, most people spend too much time in their head, and their head is telling their body what to do. And when he said that to me, I was like, oh, that's me. Because I get up in the morning and my head goes, no, we're doing this. Doesn't check in. Am I tired? How am I feeling? Have I got any aches and pains? Maybe I need to stretch, all of that. And he went, just go to the mat and ask your body what it needs. And it's amazing when I do it. And sometimes there's some just like my body will just move and I might have a bit of a stretch, or I might just lie there. And then the day is great. And it's remembering it, isn't it? It's that, like you say, if we fill ourselves up first, we can kind of spill over. Whereas we're so in our heads in the West, I'm going to say, and specifically in the UK, because that's where we are. We're so in our heads of like, nope, just got to push through, just got to get stuff done.
Yeah.
And then we wonder why people in the care sector have no capacity for care.
Oh, absolutely. It's that compassion fatigue, huh? It's just, and then you become blind. Yeah. And then it's just all sorts of complicated. Yeah. It's interesting. It's part of my human design. We'll go on to say it now. So
I was about to say, where does human design fit into all of this, and what is human design for people who, including myself, by the way, who still don't know? Because when you did your workshop here at my summit, I think I'd been Tommied with the FT. I was like, I've just got to go and sit in the sauna on my own after that. I was planning to come to yours. So I'm very grateful that you're coming back for a full day so I can immerse myself without distraction and doing other stuff. Well, so what is it? When did you come into it? Like that.
So if I give you a pattern of my life, so a pattern of my life is that I love to try new things. I'm a yes to experiences, and I am a yes to learning new skills. I always have been. So it's almost like I could have a different hobby every other week. So growing up and all through my previous years, I've never been one to go, oh, I'm doing that, and I'm only doing that. There was always lots on the go. So other people looking in could say, oh God, I thought you were doing this last week, and now you're doing this week, and I just go, So self-doubt can creep in, and it's just like, am I inconsistent? Am I not a starter and a completer? What are all those things? But when I came across human design, it almost like gave me permission to continue being me and to continue exploring new things constantly and trialing and just, the thirst for knowledge and the thirst for learning new skills. Human design is I won't go into the history, because that's, you can Google human design and you can get all the history from there. Cool. What it means to me, it's a blueprint. It's an absolute blueprint that all the theory and all the learnings that I've had in my career, it almost like it brings them all together. And it's a simple blueprint that allows you to live in alignment, I suppose, or attempt to live in alignment. So for instance, I'm a manifesting generator. So what that means in human design, in a nutshell, means that I'm probably a busy person. I like to multitask. I thrive on being able to multitask. I thrive on being able to bring things together and create new opportunities for myself and for others. Human design came into my life, funnily enough, when a friend said to me, Sam, will you come on a podcast? And I said, oh, hell no, like, no, thanks. Absolutely no desire to do that whatsoever. And she said, well, I find that difficult to believe, because in your human design, you are meant to be speaking. You are meant to be bringing your voice forward. You are meant to be using it in a way that is motivating and encouraging for others as well as yourself. And it was just like, well, how do you know this? What is this human design? So my friend Samala, she gave the opening and the entry level for me to step into it and to actually explore a bit further what it can do. I suppose the easiest way to describe it for people is that we're split into categories in human design. We're split into different auras, they're called. So you get the generators in life, and they make up most of the population. And they are here to raise the vibration of the world. So a generator is meant to be finding what they're good at, finding what gives them joy and makes them happy, and channeling all their energy into that. So if you can appreciate, we've got a lot of people in the world that are in jobs that they hate, in jobs that bring all sorts of, there's no joy, it's just work, they get up every day, same stuff, different day. So we have a lot of unhappy people in the world, whereas what they should be doing is following their joy and creating the vibration for other people then to feel into, and it gets amplified. Joy gets amplified really easily, as does sorrow. So with generators in the world, they are meant to be bringing that in. So my job with human design is to identify, do people's charts for them, and then enable them, more importantly, because you can have all the information in the world, but it's what you do with that that's important. So I help people and support people to start to learn about how to live in alignment and how their blueprints, more knowledge on their blueprint and more knowledge on what superpowers, skills and awesomeness they are inside that they can't see. We kind of just unveil that and go, have a little look. And then that allows people to step into certain things of their joy.
There's something about a permission as well, isn't there? I think you kind of said about it earlier, where a lot of people came out of your workshop going, it's okay to be who I am. They were like, it had like confirmed that whatever their thing was about themselves was actually okay, because it was who they were supposed to be. That was the most common thing that I had as feedback from people, was permission to be who they already are, which kind of sounds mad, because it's like, but actually we don't give ourselves permission, do we? We compare ourselves to other people and go, I'm a bit weird, or I shouldn't be like this, I should be more like them. And it's that like understanding of why we are a certain way, and just that little piece of knowledge freed people up.
Absolutely.
Just that perspective shift.
And that's the key. That's the key. Once you have people that kind of realize, they go, well, I'm okay. It's okay to be me. I'm not supposed to be like anybody else, because everybody's different. Nobody's walked your path. Nobody's had your life experiences. So even if you look on the surface as though you're similar, and you're in similar jobs or in similar environments, each person is so complex. And trying to fit us all into one kind of peg, square peg round hole. No wonder there's so much frustration in the world, and there's so much anger. And I think this human design identifies that. So if I was a generator and I was out of kilter and out of alignment, frustration would start to build up in my life. I'd be constantly frustrated at things, and that's a little signal and a little indicator for generators and in human design, for them to know that they're not meant to be doing what they are doing at that time, or if they are, they're meant to be doing it a different way. And it's quite, it gets people to, I suppose, start to walk with a bit of presence about themselves, and a little bit of mindfulness, being aware of your own body and your own actions and the own feelings that run through, and know which ones that you want to own and which ones are yours and which ones can just be parked at the curb, please, because that's just a story I tell myself. So yeah, that's how it is powerful. It's really so simple. And I've got to admit, when I first came across it, massive judgment for me. It was just like, oh gosh, watch this now. Somebody else telling me who I am. But when I explored it a bit deeper, and I think with human design, it's great because it's not, this is who you are and this is what you are. It's more about this is what potentially you could be.
Mm.
And then that allows that non-pressured kind of space for you to go, oh, well, I like those traits, and they're in me. I'd like to expand on those. It also reveals like more shadows. Everybody loves the shadow work. Shadows in people, and people are, whether they're called weaknesses, whether they're called, I don't know, whatever name you want to call them. We've all got dark and light inside us. Nobody's walking this world with utterly perfect. And if they are, I'd like to meet them and then do their human design.
And then find the other side. Yeah, brilliant.
But there's different walks of life. So I share with you. So a mutual friend of ours, Grant from the Dawnstalkers.
We love you, Grant.
He's a projector in human design. I hope he doesn't mind me. I know he doesn't mind me sharing.
I don't think he will. It might help the Dawnstalkers to go, oh, now we know Grant a bit more.
Yeah. He's a projector. Now, projectors are, the only way I can describe them is that if the generators and the manifesting generators in human design are the bunnies of the world, they're hopping around, busy, doing stuff. Think of Duracell bunnies, energetic and bringing all the things together. The projectors in life are the eagles, flying up, flying around, having a look down as our, not in a condescending way, but in a kind of, oh, I'm in my flying space, thinking, what are the bunnies doing? Often projectors will go, bunnies are crazy. Like, what's going on? They're just hopping everywhere. They're doing things. They're very busy. Those eagles have an eagle eye view of things. They have a different perspective in life sometimes, which is more an overboard. So they're able to see the bigger picture. And this is if they're living in alignment. She can get projectors walking this world that are living like bunnies. But for our Grant at the moment, he is able to see, he thinks differently to a lot of us. Differently to a lot of us. And that's the beauty. That's the beauty of bringing a team together, is we need all sorts of different perspectives and different energy levels and people skills. So that's how we can weave and work together. So there's, go on.
No, I was just going to say, how does it then? So it, like, even you just saying, oh, Grant is like an eagle, like already. And I spend a lot of time with Grant. He's in my community, I'm in his community. Just did all the gathering that we did together. Known him for years. He's been on this podcast for anyone who wants to look up, Grant Zetmar and the Dawnstalkers and the gathering and all the stuff he's doing. And even you just saying that, I'm like, oh, that's what I'm feeling. Because there's sometimes where he just assumes I know what he means. And I'm like, I'm not in your head. I can't see what you can see. I literally say that to Grant. I'm like, you need to, I feel like I've got to like extract out of him what he's trying to, like, and he can see it really clearly. And he's almost looking at me like I'm stupid because I don't get it. And I'm like, I don't get it. I need more words. Like, what is it that you can, and he's like, I kind of just need to show you. And then like the gathering happens, like, oh, okay, I get it now. But it just, even saying that is a magical, like, oh, now I can understand Grant better. So now then when we work together, it makes sense more. Yeah. And that was like one sentence without getting deep into, other stuff.
And that's the passion for me. So the passion is building teams, to be able to step in to help and support a team to be built where everybody is playing to their strengths and everybody is able to communicate. You don't have to talk the same language. You just have to find a common language that everybody can understand and respect. So respect that everybody is different. It can be powerful in both business and in bringing gatherings together, and families that we work well with.
Yeah. The other place my mind went when you were speaking was schools, and at what point can we work with children, and what age does this kind of become useful? Because there's a whole world in school of wear the same uniform, show up, do the same class, even though within that class there's like, my kids that want to be outside building something, and there's the other kids that want to be doing art, and there's the other kids that want to be doing drama, and then there's the other kids that want to be doing like science and tech, and then they're all in the same class, kind of. And this is not a make wrong on schools for anyone that's listening. This is just like, this is what we deal with, right? We have to have a way of doing stuff. So can this be brought into schools at some point, or talked about? Or
from my perspective, it would be invaluable. It would be to be able to, you know, when you get the children that's just are not suited to be sitting down and to be listening with their ears switched on. There's some children that
yes, I have one. For anyone that's listening that you don't know, Sam will know, is I was having a complete fucking meltdown this morning because my child that didn't want to go to school because wanted to stay with mummy was like screaming, and I mean screaming at me, don't leave me. And anyone who's a parent out there or has experienced a child doing that, I don't think you need to be a parent, you just need to be like, all the teachers knowingly looked at me as on the way out of the playground like, it's really hard being a mum. It's like, yeah, I have one of those children, and there's a whole world of, you know, it's doesn't want to be away from me, but when daddy drops him off it's fine, but it's like that, hates doing school plays, loves going to the skip yard with daddy, you know, has to go to school. And I'm like, oh wow, what if the teachers knew the children's human design?
Well, can you appreciate, we've mentioned two of the auras in human design. We've mentioned generators and we've mentioned projectors. There's a few more. So, but even just using these as an example, if you've got, we've got a lot of projector children coming through the world at the moment. So they speak a different language. And it's just like you can, and expecting them to be in school from 9 till 4, concentrated and working and everything. Their energy system's not built for that. Yet we ask that of them. So no wonder when they get home from school, they are completely wiped out or running off all sorts of
wild.
Absolutely. So it's finding, identifying, and you don't even have to work with it. You don't have to have a massive knowledge of it. You just have to, and I think that the key is that learning what language they speak. That's the key one, because the little projectors in life, they need to be invited into stuff. They could often be on the peripheral of things, waiting to be asked in. And it's only when you can notice that and you can say, get in, come on, come and be included, that they're able to step into spaces and to feel as though they have value, they're wanted, they're loved. So there's all sorts of little nuances that can be looked at to form a more inclusive culture within the school environments and in all environments, really, because people want to be valued, whether they're little people or fully grown adults. You know, there's to be seen and to be valued are really, really powerful things in life.
How can businesses use this? Do you do anything with businesses? Do you get like, what do you, so funny, like I feel like you had your hands on my soul. There you go, woo people, you'll know what that means. The other people will be like, what the fuck is she talking about? So I feel like I have a deep connection with you, and yet there's so much I don't know about you. So when I'm just for everyone listening, when I'm asking Sam these questions, this isn't like we've worked out what to talk about. Like I genuinely don't know. So I'm interested of, is there a business application of what you do? And if anyone's listening goes, oh my God, I need Sam in my company because we kind of all want to be here, but it's icky and it's not working and it's tough. What does that look like, and how do people do that? And also I'm thinking of that for myself, for my community, I don't know, Grant's community, you know, we're building out like, oh, how does this work? And how do we make something function as it's growing bigger than, you know, what it currently is? Because the stuff starts to show up, doesn't it? The bigger things get, the more the little niggles that weren't really an issue before, like start to, you know, I notice it with my community as it gets bigger, there's stuff that kind of didn't matter before that now it's like, oh, this is becoming a thing. Sorry, go.
No, I think that's a really good example of things, is that when people come together, different personalities, strong personalities usually create good businesses. You know, you don't create a good business from just sitting back and just letting everything unfold. It takes action,
Yeah.
and it takes responding, and it takes just that the conducting often. So it's figuring out roles. So we all revert to usually hierarchical roles. There's usually a boss, and then it filters down, and it all the for me that's like old school, because unless we can all come down together and break bread at the same table, then you know that what are we doing in life? Let's all look at each other across that table and be able to go, oh, you shine when you do that. Then we're going to steer you into that sort of area in the business. So I like going into businesses that reconciliation and mediation are my passions. I like it when there's a disrupt in the system, and then we can go in and explore that. It doesn't mean that I go in with a magic wand, but I go in and hold the space for people's views to be aired, because it's powerful to be able to speak your truth in a safe space. And very rarely are you able to do that in a business, unless it's just, you know, one of the most nurturing businesses that you can create. It's in life, because usually it's about action, and it's about productivity, and it's about delivering. If you to be able to go into businesses and recognize the human beings in that business, that's the first port of call. That's to enable everybody to go, oh right, I'm a part of this. I am a cog in this, and it's not just a small cog. I am an important cog. And how does everybody then see each other, value each other, and work out what is best for each to be doing? So, for instance, I wouldn't ask, working out on projectors, and there's also manifestors in life. I wouldn't ask them to be rolling up their sleeves and powering through on a 12-hour day that we need to get something completed and finished. I just wouldn't ask that of those people. And it's not because they're lazy, or it's not because, I can, they get the easy jobs. It's not, it's about because their whole attitude and demeanor and their whole energy system is not built to be able to do that properly. So it's finding and identifying the best person to deliver to work in the role that they're best suited in. And it really is. Sometimes we can walk into the space and businesses. You can have people on the outskirts, on the periphery, whose opinion is never sought, that have gold. They have the absolute gems and the gold, and you get to them and they go, well, I don't know why they're doing it that way. It's really hard what they're doing. Why don't they do it the easy way? Here's what I would do. But those voices, because whether their personalities are quieter, or whether they're not able to put themselves forward, whatever it is, then there's the gold that's missing in a lot of businesses, those hidden, invisible talents that need to be called in, rather than just, just like a little speed bump. Oh, didn't even know we went over them. That's the magic of working with businesses. And that's it brings everybody to the heart. And this is the bridge of woo-woo and clinical kind of practice, is that what do you want from your business? You want it to be productive, and most people would want it to grow and expand and be everything that it could be. Well, nurture your people. Look after the people that are going to help you bring this to fruition, because without people in their joy and their happy place, productivity goes down. It's hard work. You're going to get all of these fights, you're going to get all of the niggles, you're going to get all of the he said, she said, they said, and it's make it easy on yourselves. Absolutely explore your workforce and value them.
It's such a soothing message for me, anyway, having come from kitchens and working 18 hours a day and pushing through and working hard and like everything you've just described, where like some of the best kitchens, it's because the heart's there and everyone's in understanding, and the worst kitchens are where just the worst of it, and everyone's like pushing through, but then people are leaving and there's people churn. And like I remember my mum coming to eat at the Manoir when I worked for Raymond Blanc, just going, I didn't really enjoy my meal because although technically it's the best food in the world, I see the human cost of what it, like there was a big financial cost to put that food on, but she said, I see the human cost of putting that food on that table.
Oh,
and she said that, I was like, oh yeah, she is super. But she just couldn't, she was like, I really want to enjoy it. And it is, you know, for people listening who don't know about Le Manoir Quatre Saisons and Raymond Blanc, it's in like it's up there in the world, like one of the best hotels, restaurants in the world. Like the gardens are beautiful, the build, like just everything about it is amazing. And I'd say even the experience of, for the clients, everyone's treated the same, so they get this amazing human heart experience, and yet the people working in it is fucking hard.
Yeah.
You know, and she just said, yeah, can't do it, can't enjoy this because I know the true cost, and I can't, now I've seen it, I can't unsee it.
Where's the love for the food? Where's the time to stir the pot and to bring love rather than to bring the all of that comes in?
Yeah.
And that's
one of the reasons I left. It's one of the reasons I left Michelin star restaurants, because there wasn't that. And there are, you know, this is not a down on Michelin star restaurants, like all of them. There are chefs who are managing to do both, and the suicide rates of Michelin star chefs who don't get the Michelin star again is horrific. But it's like, that's what I couldn't reconcile for me. I was like, but we're cooking food for people. And even back then, before I'd done any work on energy or understanding all that, I was just like, energetically, this is really off. Like, our energy is going into this food and it looks really pretty. But when Mum said that, she was like, but the human costs, it's not worth it. And it was just like, oh. And it's like when I see restaurants with huge menus, I'm like, it's not worth it. Put 3 dishes on the starters, mains and desserts. Cook your seasonal food with love and say, this is what we've got today.
Do you know what? So I wasn't expecting to talk about this, but do you know who nails that in the food world is James Summerin. So his open kitchen and his work that he weaves with his daughter and his wife and his family, it oozes love. It oozes gentle, calm, from the heart cooking. And it's just like, oh, and you can taste it in the food. You can feel it in the ambience. And it's just like, yeah. So these people, there's pockets of people out there that get it. And then they can excel in their craft. Because that working environment is everything that it should be. Everybody's just working to their own skills and working as a team. Massive team there. So it's so important to just take a step back and stop trying to force productivity, stop trying to force things forward, because that's where burnout lies. And that's when staff leave and staff retention. You know, how much does it cost businesses every year to watch people walk away after 6 months and reinvent the wheel with come back in, do the training, and then not keep your people happy? Like I find it just doesn't make sense for me. There's like thousands are leaked out everywhere. Whereas if you just invested in your people, and rather than, I don't know, have an evening out where you all get smashed and all the rest of it, that's one way of doing a works do. Another way,
they usually go a bit awry at that point as well. Like all of the like unsaid stuff usually gets scratched up as well. So they're often counterproductive, and then everyone's like, "Oh God, I'm not going to the Christmas party."
Totally. And it's like resignations being handed in.
Yeah. How about doing a day together on human design and like,
and getting to know each other. That's the key. Is just being vulnerable enough to be able to go, okay, let's just open up a little bit and just have some depth get some depth in the workplace, because it's you're there for the majority of your time. Like, why wouldn't you try to get a bit deeper with the person that you're working with in a healthy manner that's going to open up communication lines for everybody?
Yeah, we're so, like, the force energy is so normalized, and the working hard and the suck it up and get it done anyway, and the, well, you don't have to like your work colleagues, just, you know, get in there, do your job, get home, and the drinking at the weekend to kind of deal with the pain of the week, and then they're going back in on the Monday, and like, it's so normalized.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I'd never even thought of this as an application in kitchens, having been out of them for 12 years now. But actually, just when I was saying that, I was like, wow, that's what's missing. And the irony being that as an industry, where it's going is, and the chains, the factoryizing of it, the chef skills kind of not being used, because it's difficult to deal with the humans that have them, because they're like, chefs are creatives and artists, and trying to put them all together and make them do a 12-hour day is just the opposite of what creatives and artists do. And it's destroying in my opinion, it's destroying the food industry. Or worse, it's becoming a food industry, not a food artisan, you know, humans cooking their beautiful hearts onto a plate, because people just go, oh, it's too hard, it's too messy, we can't deal with it.
I was lucky enough to live in Guatemala for a period of my time, and I met the most beautiful cook
the
in
things
the
you
world.
come out with, I'm like, yes, of course you lived in Guatemala. Love it.
Well, the story goes, I arrived in this beautiful space in Guatemala, and I had all my bags, and I was a solo traveler. I arrived there, and I did the old, and I'd lost my wallet. So there I was in the middle of, I was on Lake Atitlan, which is a just beautiful place, but, you know, not easy to get to in a hurry. And it's not the space where you just walk around and, oh, there's an ATM there. So a lot of volcanoes, but very few ATMs. And I had no money. And whilst I had money in the bank, it was a really humbling moment, because it was just like I was vulnerable. I knew no one. And I panic was setting in. It was just like, crikey, I've got nowhere to stay. I've got nowhere to, because I can't pay for it. So I walked up to this space where Coco, so she was Colleen, she was serving, and she was cooking, and she was creating magic in the kitchen. And I walked up, and she saw something in me and said, are you okay? We'd never met before. And instead of the usual, yeah, I'm fine, I'm good, thanks. Nothing to see here, move along. I found my eyes leaking a little bit and going, no, I think I've lost my wallet, I've lost this, and I'm just having a moment. So she said, come and have a moment, pull up a stool, come and have a moment and have a pierogi. So she cooked me a pierogi, and she fed me. And then she said, we've got a space for you to stay tonight. Just, you know, you're okay. And that changed my life.
Wow.
She was instrumental in changing my life, because it was just A, I'd asked for help, and B, I'd accepted help. And the more that I opened up to that surrender and acceptance, the more that came in.
Yeah.
So that led to decades and decades we've known each other now. We still adore each other. She lives over in Halifax, over in Nova Scotia. So, and we rarely see each other, but the connection is still so strong. And cook from the heart. I felt that pierogi. It was still the most favorite morsel that I've ever eaten, because it was received with utter gratitude. Just those moments in life that we can surrender and just go, okay, I need help.
Yeah.
Rather than, walk on by. It's okay, I got it. I'm tough.
Yeah.
I'm resilient. And it's no, the bravery is in saying I'm not tough. I need to just surrender just a little bit. And that's in business and in life and in family life, being able to feel safe enough to say that without ridicule, without anything coming in as a knock-on backlash effect. That's the environments I want to place myself in. That makes me tick. I wake up in the morning, and if I had to go to work, I'd like to go to work in a safe space where I don't need to be tough.
Yeah.
And then inner strength comes in, that core strength comes in, and that that really creates a whole different environment then, doesn't it? And spills out to people. Yeah.
Well, it just keeps going out, doesn't it? I think the more I do this work and the more I'm present to it, the more, like, we'll never really know our impact. And yet, if we could just let a little bit of what it might be in, it's like, why would you not? Because it's magic. And you being a clearing for that, and for companies and people, and, you know, for me, like being with you at Elements and Medicine Festival, and just being held in such a solid way where there's no expectation of me to be any way other than what I am. It's such a gift to give to people.
Yeah.
And then you doing that for me in this instance allows me to do it for others, and like the resources they grow, don't they? They expand and they grow, and the energy grows, and our energy grows, like our life force grows, and what we can take on, what we can tolerate. It's just magical.
And one of the most valuable things that you can give another person is your time.
Yeah.
Like, it's just to be present for them and to just be there listening with both ears. Rather than listening to them and thinking, oh, what am I going to tell them next? What am I going to say? It's like, no, there's nothing to do. Like, you are good enough and they are good enough in that space. Let's just see what opens up and unfolds from that. And that's the gentle power, I think, the gentle power of being present with people.
Yeah. Magic. I'm aware we're on a podcast, and if I stay quiet too long, people are like, oh, is it broken? And I also need to just go, oh, wow. Amazing.
Yeah, I forgot then. Thanks for reminding me. I thought we were just having a chat.
That's all right. I was just going to just have a moment just to sit with that. Oh, yeah. What, let's go. I'm going to go with I've got Sarah Thompson sat on my shoulder going, remember, this is for the workshop day, in a loving way. So anyone who's listening to this, there's a few, like, probably saying the fact that it's the 19th September 2024, so that anyone listening to this, like, I want to go, but it's like 2026 and this is still floating around on the internet somewhere. I'm going to guess you and me will still be around, and there's probably an event somewhere at some point in Wales or the UK, or who knows, abroad. So, you know, if you're listening to this and it's later than,
don't tell anybody yet.
Huh?
Don't tell anybody about the one we're doing abroad.
No, we won't. Secret. What can people, so anyone who's got a bit, so first of all, we're in South Wales, in Newport is where the event is next month, and now I'm going to go, I don't know what the date is. That's hilarious. That's so disorganized. When I hear people on podcasts, I'm like, how can you not know when your own event is? Now I know how that happens. It happens just like it is now, where I go, oh wow, I actually don't know the date. So on the 16th of October we'll be playing together. So if anyone's listening to this and thinking they want to come, there'll be a link somewhere, because you'll be watching this on the internet somewhere, and there'll be a link somewhere. But you can either go on my website, alexlouisethomas.com, you can find me on Eventbrite, you can find us both on Instagram, and there'll be bumped below. And if it's not, there will probably be something else that we're doing. What can anyone listening to this, because one of the reasons and the intentions of doing this podcast is that so that people can come to the day having listened to this, and it's not, you know, like, not everyone will, but quite a lot of people do. What do they need to bring if anyone's feeling a bit like, oh, this sounds all a bit much, like a bit of soothing of like, you don't have to do anything, just show up? Because that's how the space I clear is, like, just show up and give what you can and ask for what you need is my main intention when people come into this home. But what can people expect? Or Is there anything you want to say to them about the day that we will borrow through together?
To presence the environment that they're stepping into. I think you offer something really rare in life, and that is you offer all of yourself. You open your home, and anything goes. It is such a safe space. The minute you step over the threshold, you know that you're with good people. And it feels as though when you get your gatherings that happen there, the ones that I've come to, I walk away saying I'm going to be leaving. I'll be leaving at 5, and then 10 o'clock at night I'm still there. I'm trying to, because you bring such good people together. You bring curious and open-minded people together, and that's a key. People are willing to go, oh, let's have a little explore and let's have a little look at what's going on here. So for me, for the 16th, I think that the people that you've probably gathered, some of which I will know already, I'm excited to reconnect there as well.
There's a lot of excitement building, so I'm also aware as I'm saying this, there might not at some point be tickets left, because everyone's who's already experienced you are like, I'm coming back. I think so. Andy, who you will have met, Andy and Amy in Weston, I think Andy's business partner's coming. So if you are listening to this, you're so welcome. But it's like that, like, oh wow, that's exciting. Like, what a, is for me, it feels like two worlds colliding.
Yeah.
So it's that,
I ask
openness and curiosity. I like that.
And that's what I'd ask them to bring. Just come curious and come open-minded. I don't want anything from anybody. There's nothing there. So you could come in and you could sit at the back of the room and then you could just absorb and just listen to what's being said about others. There will always be, and this is the beauty of working with human design, is that I know people's details and we can work out their charts before the event. Already I can start to feel into who's likely to be the ones that are asking the questions, who's likely to be the ones sitting in the corner that I may have to go over to and have a little quiet word with to say, you got any questions? Because they don't want to be speaking in a big group. So all of those little indicators that I'd have when I have people's charts done, that helps me as well read the room. So there is nothing that I need from people. It is the least taxing workshop. All I'll do is maybe make you ponder a little bit, ask you to think about some stuff that's going on in your own system. You can share as much as you like. You can step back as much as you like. So it really is a no pressure workshop. And the aim for me would be that everybody goes away with a little bit of learning about themselves. So an insight, even if it's just one little spark of an insight where they go, I did not see that in me, but somebody else can see that very clearly. I'm gonna explore that. They're the little magic changes and the tiny little shifts that then set off a domino effect inside somebody's system. It is empowerment is a key word for me. I want people to step into the workshop and go away thinking, I'm all of me. Look at who I am. So for people to find their shiny.
Magic. I'm just wondering whether I can do this or not. I'm going to do this and tie in Andrew's workshop from yesterday with what you've just said there, because it's like I'm just seeing this without realizing that this beautiful thread between the workshops and working with Charlie and then Andrew and then you. And this might go horribly wrong. Anyone listening on audio, this will make no sense to you whatsoever. But if you're watching on YouTube, I have to share this graphic that will probably look terrible online, but I'll explain it. So yesterday,
whiteboard.
Super messy. What he said, and this, I think this is, and I just loved it because as you spoke, then I was like, oh, she's going to do a different version of that. So what he was talking about was the diamond that we all have, that is us, and then there's this layer outside of horse shit and places that we spend like mucking about in. And then on top of that, there's nail polish that we put on top, where we like try and make ourselves look like we've got our shit together. And when you were speaking then, I was like, oh, Sam's going to take us to the diamond. We're not going to muck around in the horse shit, which, you know, like sometimes it's valid, but like it gets really stinky. And we're not dealing with like nail polish and trying to make everything okay. We're dealing with the diamond, which is literally what we were doing yesterday. And I was just like, oh, that concept yesterday, the way Andy explained it, was like, oh, now I understand the work that Charlie does. And you've just said that. I'm like, oh, that's the same. It's that. It's not adding in more stuff. It's actually getting to the middle bit and like, it's almost getting rid of the stuff.
Yeah.
Like letting stuff go and being like, oh, hello. Like meeting ourselves as we are.
Well, if you think that's exactly what it is, if you think of the conditioning that we have of society, of other people, expectations and everything, there's lots of conditionings. And I call those the layers of conditioning, which would be the, you know, the two outer areas that Andrew has described there. And people are too busy wading around in those outer areas and masking and putting on a front and going, oh, this is what I want you to see. Yeah. And they don't know the gold, so the diamond and the gold. You know, they don't know the precious metals that are inside. Yeah. And it's just like, oh, crikey. I'm lucky in life because, and part of my human design is that I get to see people's gold and their diamonds, even if they don't. Within conversations and within spending a bit of time with them, it's really easy. I'm privileged. I get to see them through a lens that they don't see themselves through, and that's frustrating for me sometimes because I look at people and think, "Why don't you know?
Don't you see this?"
But also, people are sometimes not ready to understand and to really get to grips with who they are inside, because that's pretty scary. What do you do when you realize that you're so epic and you're not bringing anything that you want to into the world? It's just like, then it's time to shift and change. So it can be scary to identify that diamond and the gold side, but in bite-sized chunks, that's the aim. That's the aim, is for everybody from your workshop, from the workshop that we went, hopefully going away with just a little piece of who they are and going, yeah, I'm pretty epic.
Yeah, it's magic. We were talking about that yesterday after the formal part of the day. So we did the kind of like workshopy bit 10 till 4 and then 4 till 6. Yeah, certain like people can hang out. I was actually talking about that from a coaching perspective of, because there's a lot of coaching that hangs out in the like going through the quagmire, myself included, because I was like, the more I do this work, the more I'm like, oh, I've got lots less to say and I really want to connect with that central bit. Whereas it's very easy to get, I can't remember what Andrew called it. He was like personal development crack, like picking through all these bits and pieces rather than actually just going to the heart.
Yeah.
And there was that conversation about, if I look back on my journey, it's like sometimes there's some unpicking to do first or some letting go, because it is really like, if you go straight in, like, oh, this, people are like, oh no, that's a lot of work first. We got to do a bit of cleaning up first so that I can even handle a concept, never mind see the diamonds. So that, when I think you said it before about just when people are ready, like people need to be ready for things.
Absolutely. And I think that's a good life coach knows this. A good life coach, in my opinion, and it's only my opinion, 2 ears, 1 mouth. They'll use those in accordance with each other. Listen twice as much as you speak, because people do not need you to sort out the problems. They need the space to be held for them to get in touch and identify, oh, there's a problem. That's okay. We can deal with that now when they're ready. And it's for you guys as those whole kind of business and life coaches to shine a little light on those pieces and go, oh, perhaps we can look at that. But then it's for the person to decide whether they want to pull that or not. Yeah. And I find that really, it's such an important component of being with people and enabling them to walk their path, because otherwise that codependency kicks in. That whole kind of I need, and then pedestals are stood on, all of that, and it's just like, oh no, guys, it's you that's got to do the work. I'm just steering you and just going, oh, maybe left a bit. Okay, you haven't gone left, that's fine, we'll deal with the right. It's like, okay.
Yeah, the number of times the coach has said maybe go left a bit and I've gone right, and then gone, oh, that's why you meant left, got it now, but had to go right to get why I had to go left.
Oh, and do you know what, to bring that back to human design as well, there's people in life with a certain profile in human design that has to learn through experience. You could give them a printout, you could be in their ear in a mic telling them what to do. Absolutely no, they have to experience something and go through the motions and fail. They have to have the failure in order for them to either pick themselves up and go, I learned from that.
I feel like that might be me, because we haven't. So for anyone, everyone's going to think, Alexlouise knows her human design. I don't, because I was in the sauna having a bit of a after Tommy's EFT session where we did like family constellations, for those who know what that is, with emotional freedom therapy and some little wooden figures, which made my mind go. So I was sat in the sauna sweating, allowing that to like go through me. So I didn't do Sam's workshop, but Sam has a way, because I've watched you do it. So you must have done it to me without me realizing. I've watched you look at people and then say things. I'm like, how the fuck does she know that? She's literally just met them in my kitchen. And you just, do you want to share anything? Do you want to like say, because you were just saying that then I was like, is she talking about me? I feel like that's me. I've done a lot of failing and multiple failing, and then like failed again, and then just to like really be sure made it even worse and failed again. I'm thinking about intimate relationships now, but also other businesses and stuff. So now I'm intrigued. I'm like, tell me more about myself. Because we've never had this conversation, because we're always like at an event, or you're fire walking people, or I don't know, we're doing saunas and lunches and talking about other things.
So just for you to know, this is now my joy, because what happens is that I can, because it's my passion, and because I've trained myself now that not everybody wants to hear, not everybody wants to learn, and not everybody's ready. So what I do in life now is plant little seeds. So little seeds are planted, and you can give people just enough information for them to either take it and run, or go, oh no, I don't want to know anything about that. So I've watched you and observed you, because there's always been that natural curiosity, and you can see and you just go, oh, what is this magic? So the interest is here, but sometimes we have to just bide our time for us to go, okay, I've been around it enough now, I've seen how it works with other people, I'm now ready to hear more about me. And I think that's the stage that you're at now. But I'm not gonna. So I've done your chart.
Of course you have.
Yeah, and I would like. This is not a quick 2 minutes on a podcast. This is a sit down, because your chart is beautiful to see. So just for you to know, and other people to know, is that you are living very much in alignment with your charts. You are bringing into the world what you are supposed to be bringing in, and you're doing it in a manner that's really healthy. There's so much more invisible stuff in your charts that you're unaware of, which is the beauty for me, because I get to just shine that torch on there and go, have you thought of that? Did you know that you do that? And then for you to go into the environment.
Amazing.
It's you are really doing what you're supposed to be doing. You're supposed to be here working with people. You're supposed to be offering that space to hold for them to explore.
It's so interesting that you said that, because and some people who listen to me more, who are part of the community, will know this, but like the last 2 years have been like the failures again, learning it. So can I stay fuck it. So my grandma died 2 years ago, and I went straight into when my brother died, when I was 30. So that was like 14 years ago, my brother died. 2 years ago, which was 12 years after my brother died, my grandma died. Big, integral parts of my life. Grandma, most consistent human of my life in my family, of like staying in the same place, not fucking moving around all the time, all of that. And she died. Talk about learning the lesson again. And I was like, oh my God, I'm doing it again. I'm working too much. Like all of the lessons I learned when Chris died were there again. Like, oh look, you thought you'd learned the lesson. No pass. The stuff. Thought I'd grieved my brother. Thought I'd put down being a workaholic. I now have, anyone who's wondering, and only just like literally in the last year. And when you were saying that about lessons, but also I don't think I could have heard anything that you see until now, like just talking about timing. Because when you said like you're living in alignment, for those who are listening, it's taken a long time to get into alignment. And it's only just been unfolding, even this summer with Elements Retreat and Medicine Festival Summer Camp, which was last weekend. And that like getting to that place of authenticity and not all of the, all of this stuff around the edge.
Yeah.
Just for people who are listening, not watching, not the diamond bit in the middle. And I am this is why I love timing. I'm literally landing off summer camp, going and Elements Retreat and Medicine Festival and Grant's Gathering, going, oh, okay, I know all the bits that aren't serving and that were like in the horse shit, and trying to unpick stuff that didn't need unpicking. And in that space that's kind of ready to go, oh, what is stuck? What am I still doing? What's aligned? Because a lot of stuff, there was a point a few months ago where I was facing, oh, is my entire business and my book and my coaching program not in alignment? For anyone going, oh, it is, it's still here. And there was like, I've literally just been through that. What's going to drop away? What's not authentic? What's not aligned? And here we are, like we're on a podcast.
Yeah.
So, like.
And do you know what? A good input for that one as well is that whilst we can start to live in alignment, and we can start to pull all the pieces in, my belief is that it takes a lifetime. It absolutely takes a lifetime, because I'm not so bold and brazen as to go, oh, I'm living in alignment. It's like,
I'm there now for as long as I am until I'm not.
Totally and utterly. I can see the different tweaks, and I can see what puts me in my joy and what makes me absolutely light up in life, and that's important. But also I can take a little look to the left and right and see lots of work that I still need to do.
And I think that's what I'm saying. I'm like, okay, we've got here, and now there's like you saying, oh, there's some invisible things on your chart that you might not have seen yet. I'm like, yes, I kind of know they're there, but I don't know what they are. I know they're coming.
Absolutely. Wow. And there's the humility in life, isn't it? Because if we walk this life and we think that we know everything, that's when things are going to bite you on the arse completely.
Yeah.
And it's just like that. Everybody, you become. It's an equalizer when you realize that everybody's working on different things. But there's an opportunity to keep on growing and keep on evolving as a human being. And also in the collective. And whilst you're doing the work, then you're enabling, I don't know, your children to learn what's going on. Your peers, your friends, your family, they all take a little kind of, a little feel from it to go, oh, maybe I'll make some changes as well. And then that's how I believe that humanity will just expand and grow in a more aligned way, rather than in whichever way it's working now.
They're like left, right, and everywhere else except alignment.
Yeah.
Grant said something to me yesterday that I hadn't heard before. That was that the authenticity that it's now been measured. It's been measured by the scientists, so it must be true. It's so funny, isn't it? How authenticity is a way of being. Like when people are being authentic, is a higher vibrational frequency energetically.
Absolutely.
And it's being measured now. And it's like, when he said that, I was like, well, of course it is. Like it was, when someone says something like, well, of course, but actually I'd never thought about it like that before. And then it all made sense.
100%.
It's a bit like alignment, you know, alignment, authenticity, like when people are living in that, and the more I live in that,
yeah,
the more energy I have, the more passion there is, the more speed stuff happens at. The
well,
more
if you
magic
think
happens.
of it, if you think what happens when you're in a group of people that are set in fear, and it's that low vibration, and you feel that kind of oh, it's draining. And as you work up, and whether people are in their joy, and whether they're in their, you know, that how then that vibration goes higher and higher. But that authentic self, that's the utter gold. Do you dance like nobody's watching? Do you do things for yourself and not contemplate what others will think? You can contemplate the impact on others, but what do they think? Irrelevance. Absolutely, to be able to be you in all of your entirety. I'm amazed. I have a few people in my life that are just dancing to their own tune in that respect, and I look at them with all the time, and it's just like, wow, what's that like? It's they haven't got an easy life.
No.
Because you know, other people will actually throw judgment on and try and bring them down at every opportunity. But I see them, and that authenticity shining through makes that's what takes my breath away. That's the key. And if people ask what's the purpose of life, to be true to you. You know, this is not a rehearsal. This is, we're in it.
Yeah, amazing. I'm just wondering, what we've been on for an hour and 20 minutes.
Oh, look at that.
Just like that. I see when I do my 3-hour podcast, people are like, I can never speak for 3 hours. I'm like, you wait, we'll do it. And now we're like an hour and 20 minutes. Feel like we've been sat here for 5 minutes. And I'm aware that I'd like to keep this one like this and then do others with you. So is there anything else you want to say about human design or the day, or like what's the best way for someone's listened to this and gone, I'm not coming to the day, or the day's already gone, but I really want to work with you? What's the best way for people to contact you? How do you, in the world of all humans? And
so in the world, it's I am Zen Tent Events. So, and that is me and a team. So that is a whole heap of people that are all able to step in and be present for whatever events are unfolding. On a human design level, I'm privileged in life. I have a waiting list, and it's But if there's anybody that is curious, I would ask them to do your own research first. Don't use my brain. Use yours. Go and have a little explore. It's a big wide world on the internet. Have a little feel into it and go, oh yeah. And then if there's any specific questions, or if you're thinking, no, I'm ready to find out more about me, and also find out more about people and dynamics, then absolutely just drop us a line. That is I can't say no really on that one, because it gives me so much joy.
And then I'm guessing Zen Tents is the place to find out about the events that you're holding, where you'll be showing up, what you'll be doing, because it's not just like you show up in multiple places through the year's calendar, don't you? So if people want to experience various forms of what you create and what your team creates,
absolutely. So we will, and it's interesting because we will be having more dates put on there in the next coming weeks. So dates have been solidified, and I can't even begin to share how excited I am.
Well, what we could do is I get to press the end stream, and then you could like share a little bit of excitement with me offline. How does that sound? Sorry, everyone. I get time to myself for a little bit. Sorry, not sorry. Sam, is an honour and a privilege, and also an honour and a privilege to be in your space, for you to come to our community and do what you do. To like the future and where it's going is amazing. No, I just have nothing but love and gratitude for you being in my space. And as always on this podcast, I say to people, thank you for your time and attention, for you being here, Sam, and for anyone who's listened this long. Like, you know, we're in a world of scrolling and 30-second things and all of that. And when anyone stays and pays attention to this depth, I'd like to thank you, but also I'd like people listening to thank yourselves for giving yourself probably some down regulation and staying in one place and letting your system be, you know, in this conversation, and hopefully having some insight or something must have kept you here this long. So thank you, everybody. Thank you, Sam.
Oh, you
see
guys
you
are
all
welcome.
soon. Lots of love, everyone. Bye.